don't know what this is a tailor-made world featuring me, Taylor. This is a channel where I share my interests and do delicious bakes. So, today we're going to be making the Scrumptious coffee cake that I was talking about last video when introducing you to my channel. This recipe is actually from Rosanna Pansino. Subscribe to her channel. This is from her website and it's actually a vegan recipe, but I'm making this into a version for those of you who are not vegan can enjoy it like I did for myself. So, let's get started. So, the first thing I'm going to make is the streusel for the cake. I'm going to start off with some cold butter. You can use butter that is a little bit room temperature on the outside, but cold works the best. This is 1/4, so I'm just going to go plop that in. Bloop. Now I'm going to take my brown sugar. I'm using 2/3 of a cup brown sugar. It's okay if a little bit sticks to the cup. It's brown sugar, it has molasses in it. That's why there's different kinds. There's light brown and there's dark brown. The difference is dark brown has more molasses in it. Now I'm going to add in my flour. This is 1/3 of a cup flour. So I'm just going to pour this in. The flour I'm using is our usual flour, all-purpose. Works very well. Now I'm going to add in my cinnamon. Now, you can use 1 teaspoon, but I'm going to use which amount feels right to me. So, you can just eyeball it. I'm using McCormick cinnamon, it's grounded. You can use cinnamon sticks at home if you want to, and ground it up yourself, but I prefer to ground because it's more efficient. Now we're going to mash it up with a fork until it's nice and crumbly. Now it's going to be a little bit hard to do it because the butter is cold, but don't worry, you can do it. The trick is believing in arm sweat. So this is actually going to be a really delicious crumble soon. Okay, so I'm adding a little bit more cinnamon to mine because that's just how I want mine to be. A bit more cinnamony. But you want it to look like this and be this texture. See, it's nice and crumbly and it's a nice perfect texture. Okay, so now we're going to be making the dry ingredients for our batter. So let's start off with our 1 3/4 cup of flour. Give it a little shake and a little tap on the bottom. Now I'm going to go with my baking powder, which is 2 teaspoons. Now time for our baking soda, which is 1/4 of a teaspoon. Now I want to add a little bit of more cinnamon to my cake because I just like incorporating that nice cinnamony flavor. So just gonna add a little bit of a shake, and then I'm going to take my big whisk to stir. Now give it a nice mix. You want to mix it until you have a nice even color all over. Okay, so that is nice and combined into an even color. And if you want to just check, kind of bring it all into one place and then just stir everything overlappingly. Now, you can kind of shake that off. And now, let's go to our wet ingredients. So, I'm going to take my biggest bowl and replace that with my medium bowl. What I'm going to start with is my 1/3 and plus 2 tablespoons of cup sugar. Just pour that in. Now, what I like to do next is I like to add in my vanilla. This is 1 teaspoon, but just go whatever your heart content goes with. Just kind of eyeball the vanilla. Now, let's stir it. So I kind of like to combine my vanilla and sugar real quick together before I add in my butter, which comes next. This is melted butter, so let's add it in. Okay, this is coming back. I'm using salted butter, but you can use unsalted butter if you don't have it, and add salt to your dry ingredients. Now this is 1/4 of melted butter, so this recipe calls for 1 whole stick. Let's split it in half. This is looking really good. It's nice, smooth, and looks really good. It's like when you're making cookies. Next, I'm going to add in my egg. Now, if you didn't want to make this a cake, and you just kept these ingredients that are in here, you could basically have cookies. But I'm making a coffee cake, which is still delicious. So, let's add in our cup of buttermilk. Now I am adding in this at one at a time, so that's just one of mine. I'm going to kind of scoop a little bit of it out if I can. And now I'm going to stir that in to get it incorporated. Now this is looking pretty good. It's getting nice and smooth. Now I'm going to add in my next one. And my last one to be exact. Now both of those together were 1 cup of buttermilk, as I said earlier. So I'm just going to scrape this out again. It kind of smells like Greek yogurt. And I kind of enjoy the smell of Greek yogurt. Now, it's getting nice and smooth and mix it until all of it is combined in. Now this is a nice color. We're going to now put in our dry ingredients. Now, pour this in batch by batch to where you don't get a big floury mess. So, you can actually use a stand mixer for this, but I like to do this by hand. It's kind of a little bit of an arm workout if you ask me. Now, I added in 1 batch of my flour. Now I just gotta stir that in. Now, take your small one and scrape down the sides. This is how I make sure everything gets incorporated. Same idea, stir. Now it's gonna kind of get thicker now. Now you may be thinking, okay, we're done now. No, we're not. We still have one more batch to go. Now, like I did before, I'm going to scrape down the sides to make sure everything gets incorporated. This helps get all the ingredients in and to where we have a nice, very incorporated batter. Now we're going to add in our final batch. And this is going to be a little tough to stir. Okay, since now my batter is all combined and my streusel is all done and delicious, I now have my 8-inch pan that has parchment paper in it and it has buttered around the sides. Let's pour it in now. You can actually split the work and have somebody work on the batter and somebody do the streusel, but I'm a one-girl show. So, I'm going to add in half of my batter. And you're going to spread it around. Oops. I did not place butter down underneath my parchment paper, but that is okay. You're just going to kind of smooth the batter all around it. Now, you may be wondering, how much batter is this when you look how much is in the ingredients? But this is actually a small cake. The first time I made this, we ate this in 2 days because how good it was. So, I'm going to kind of smooth it out, and now you're going to do your streusel layer. Don't do all of it, kind of spread it around, and don't let a whole mountain come tumbling down. Just add a little bit of it going on, because if you do too much in the middle, you won't have a lot to put on top. And that's kind of my favorite part of it because it's nice and crunchy, and then you also get that nice cinnamony brown sugary from the middle. Spread it around evenly. I am now going to add in the rest of my batter. Take your spatula and try to get everywhere. You want to have enough batter to cover the entire part of the crumb layer. Now this is pretty thick, so just kind of scrape everywhere to get it. Now you may be thinking this is a lot of work, but it's going to all be worth it in the end because of how delicious it is. Now, do a few of my baking facts. Rubber melts, but silicone doesn't melt too much on high heat. Not all pans that are nonstick are good. High heat gives off a chemical that is poisonous and dangerous to humans. Even though brown sugar and dark brown and light brown has molasses in it, it still gives it a great taste. And it's actually natural cane. Some of my baking facts are actually ones that I've learned from watching YouTube videos. Now this cake is great with coffee, but for you who are not big coffee drinkers like me, because I'm a kid, why would I be drinking coffee? Go with a nice cup of tea. It's relaxing and it's delicious. So kind of spread it on. Some cream might come on top, but that's okay. You can't completely cover this anyway. Turn the side and more. Now, time for the rest of our streusel. Try to put your streusel pretty evenly to where you get a little bit of it in every slice. If you have too much in one place, kind of spread it out a bit. Now, since I have it all crumbed up at the top, let me tell you what to preheat your oven to. I had my oven preheated to 350 during the whole video. So, make sure you watch this video once before you make it. Now that it's nice and crumbly up at the top, it's ready to go. Mine is going to go into my oven for 35 minutes since it's basically the magic number. So now that my cake is out of the oven, I'm going to go ahead and make my glaze. You want to pour on the glaze on the cake while it's still warm, but not while it's too hot because then the glaze will separate. So what you're going to need is 1/4 of a cup of powdered sugar and 2 to 3 teaspoons of milk. Now I would say go however much floats your boat. Until you have a thick enough glaze or a loose enough glaze for you. And vanilla extract to taste. But remember, a little goes a long way with extracts. So I'm just going to pour my vanilla first. Now actually, depending how you like, you can actually use vanilla. You can actually only use vanilla and powdered sugar and have a nice glaze. It would be nice and smooth, but extremely thick. I don't want that thick of a glaze, so I'm adding some milk to loosen it up a little bit. See? That's a big wad of it. So here comes in the milk. Just pour it in and then kind of mix it. Now because how thick it is right now, it's going to kind of have to go a little dissolvement before it gets there. So just keep mixing this until it's smooth enough for you. And say you accidentally got it too loose, then just add in a little bit more powdered sugar. Say it's too thick, add in a little bit more milk. Mine, a little looser than I would like it, but I'm okay with it. Now, time for pouring it on. So, here's a hack if you don't want to use a piping bag and you don't really want to use a spoon. Take a Ziploc bag, mine's red, and I like red, and place it on your cup. Take your icing, which is nice, well, and combined. Scrape everything from the bottom and pour it in. Try to get as much of your glaze as you can out. So I'm going to now go grab my cake so I can glaze it. Now, remove your glaze from the cup, close it up at the top, and add a little pressure right here. Now you're going to take your scissors and cut off the tip. And your glaze is about to come out. Now pour it over it. Because you may have poked a hole in it to see if it was cooked all the way, a little bit of the glaze is going to go in there, and that's okay. Now I did it that way, and I'm going to also do it this way. This helps get glaze everywhere. This coffee cake is amazing, and so are you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can know when the next video comes. Today's shout out goes to Kitty's mama for doing really cool vlogs. Subscribe to her channel, and I'll see you in the next video where we're making Tegaritas. See you next time. Peace out, YouTube.